Singapore's 3 ex-prime ministers had an average tenure of 20 years. That's longer than Angela Merkel's 16 years, which was the longest tenure of a Western leader in the past 40 years. And only 2 major Western nations have limits on how long a leader can stay in power. Why do Singapore's leaders last for so long? It depends on who you ask. Ask the ruling People's Action Party, and they'll tell you that the leaders win the trust of the people.
Mr. Lee became our first Prime Minister. In government, he laid out his vision, galvanized the population, and implemented policies that transformed Singapore. But Mr. Lee was not a one-man act. He achieved what he did with the help of many good people who worked with him in cabinet, in parliament, in the unions, in the party. PAP activists and leaders at the grassroots toiled on the ground, addressed constituents' needs, and built support for the PAP and what it stood for. And that was how the PAP won Singaporeans' trust and support, retained it, and that is how we still do it today.
Indeed, Singapore's leap from third world to first in a generation is unparalleled. Ask Singapore's biggest opposition party, and they'll tell you that opposition parties are inherently at a disadvantage.
Singapore is unique. The political reality in the Singapore context, a combination of the first-past-the-post system, the size and footprint of opposition parties, certain grassroots organizations manned by PAP apparatchiks, and an electoral boundary review committee that comes under the Prime Minister's office, amongst other factors. All these reveal that the real prospect for a change of government during general elections today conceals the advantage of PAP incumbency far more than the DPM cares to let Singaporeans in on. The DPM has asked us to be honest about our plans, policies, and intentions. On the heady dreams of displacing the PAP and forming government, the reality is the Workers' Party is a small party, and we have a long way to go.
Side note, in which other countries is it an accusation to say that the opposition wants to take power? And does the opposition deny the accusations? The above reasons focus on why the ruling party has stayed in power for so long. But why does the Prime Minister himself stay in power for so long? It helps that the Prime Minister chooses to run for term after term. Singapore's leaders say their job isn't a vocation, but a mission.
Whoever governs Singapore must have that iron in him, or give it up. This is not a game of cards. This is your life and mine. I've spent a whole lifetime building this. And as long as I'm in charge, nobody's going to knock it down.
And leaders are carefully selected, groomed, and tested before they rise to the top, ensuring continuity and stability.
I was not a born politician, but I was fortunate to be mentored by Lee Kuan Yew, Goh Keng Swee, S. Rajaratnam, Han Swee Sen, and Kim San, amongst others. I had my knuckles wrapped more than once.
I told Goh Chok Tong, look, you're trying to please too many people. Even the pressmen, they badger him. He keeps on obliging with answers. I said, just cut them off.
Only when they were satisfied that I could fly Singapore was I allowed to occupy the cockpit.
Finally, Singapore's prime ministers are careful to avoid career-ending scandals. What was the most serious scandal? In 2017, the then Prime Minister's siblings said that he lied and abused his power.
Over the last week, Singaporeans have been disturbed and confused by news of the private dispute between my siblings and me. I deeply regret that this dispute has affected Singapore's reputation and Singaporeans' confidence in the government.
But even then, the opposition did not side with them.
Mr. Lee Hsien Yang and Dr. Lee Wei Ling should not make vague allegations in the public domains against the Prime Minister based on scattered evidence central on family displeasure. Making allegations that appear to be calculated to undermine the Prime Minister's authority does not make for constructive politics in Singapore.
In fact, their main concern was that the Prime Minister did not sue his siblings.
by using family, does not this also show that blood is thicker than water? Own sibling cannot sue. After all, we are all brothers and sisters. But political opponents and critics sue until your pants drop. I cannot square, Madam Speaker, with all this argument. Sorry.
This again illustrates the uniqueness of Singapore's politics. The opposition asked the Prime Minister to sue his critics. Are Singapore's long leadership tenures good or bad? The international media sometimes takes one side and sometimes the other. But another approach is to regard a country's leaders as one part of a carefully crafted system. Indeed, Lee Kuan Yew said that he would have failed if he were born in a more complex country.
I think you're the only true nation builder in this world, apart from Kemal Ataturk. If someone were to give you India today, can you do to India what you did to Singapore over the last 3 decades?
No single person can change India.
Lee makes a crucial point. National success isn't solely due to individual leaders. The system that they operate within is much more important. So the real question we should ask ourselves is, how can we build systems that help even the most complex countries succeed? Thanks for watching this video.